It was a regular morning flight from Delhi to Mumbai. Inside the aircraft, passengers were engaged in light conversation with one another, thinking of their destinations while the cabin crew helped them settle into their seats. But amid the usual bustle of modernity, an unusual sight appeared. A weary, broken-faced man slowly entered the plane. He was close to 50, wearing an old, mismatched blazer. His hair was unkempt, his face marked with deep lines of melancholy. With the top buttons of his shirt partly undone, he stood out even among ordinary passengers. He hunched into seat number 17 by the window. Flight attendant Sohani, a young air hostess, politely but with suspicion, asked to see his boarding pass. The man calmly showed his ticket, then silently kept gazing out the window as though his mind was adrift elsewhere. The woman beside him, modern and dignified in her appearance, wrinkled her nose and looked at him with nothing but disdain. A subtle tension filled the cabin's atmosphere. Suddenly, the plane jolted lightly. The seatbelt sign came on. Murmurs spread among the passengers. Sohani rushed toward the cockpit, and moments later it was announced. The captain had suffered a stroke and was unconscious. The co-pilot was trying to manage alone, but the situation was slipping toward disaster. The cabin sank into a heavy silence. A trembling voice called out, "Is there a doctor on board?" Dr. Kiran Dutta stepped forward. But when he returned, he coldly declared, the captain could not continue. Fear, shock, and despair spread like a wave. At that very moment, Ayan raised his hand. His neighbor, Arjun, stared at him in disbelief and blurted out, "You? Can you even fly a plane?" Ayan replied steadily, "I can do this. It's been a long time, but I'll try." All eyes turned toward Ayan. Arjun was openly doubtful, his face painted with disbelief. Yet there was something in Ayan's voice, an unusual calmness, the weight of past experience. He was allowed into the cockpit. The co-pilot looked hopeless, but there was no other option. Ayan donned the headset and sat at the control panel. Outside, the storm grew fierce. The plane shuddered, descended sharply. Rain lashed against the windows, and lightning flashed with eerie brilliance. But inside the cockpit, Ayan's demeanor was steady. Every command he gave bore the mark of precision and seasoned skill. In communication with flight control, Ayan introduced himself. "This is Ayan Mehra." For a moment, the controller was stunned before responding. "Ayan Mehra, you're a living legend. Follow our instructions." At the mention of his name, memories resurfaced. 10 years ago, he had saved lives by landing a plane through a terrifying storm, becoming a hero. But later, due to a technical error, he was suspended. Today, he was about to prove his skill once more. With steady hands, Ayan maneuvered the cockpit controls, following the control tower's guidance until he gently brought the plane down onto the runway. In the cabin, passengers were first bewildered, then awestruck. The man they had dismissed was now their savior. When the seatbelt sign went off, the cabin erupted into applause. The very woman who had scorned Ayan earlier now looked at him with shame and respect. Arjun, realizing his mistake, lowered his head. When the plane stopped and passengers began to disembark, each one looked at Ayan with gratitude. Yet his face showed no pride. This was not glory to him, but duty. As the cabin doors opened, Ramesh, a senior airline official, informed him that the company had been monitoring his performance live and wanted to offer him reinstatement. Ayan stood still for a moment, then said, "They may have taken my job away, but they could never take away my courage." Ramesh hurriedly added, "Sir, we've been waiting for you for a long time." Ayan glanced out the window, at the aircraft hangars, the runway lights, the other planes soaring into the sky, all of it stirring memories of his past. He knew that regaining his job or title was not what mattered. Today, he had rediscovered himself, his skill, his worth, his values. On his phone, a message from an old mentor appeared, choking him with emotion. "I saw what you did today. You were always meant for greatness." With no extra expectations, Ayan smiled quietly. He knew that from this moment, his journey had begun anew. The bitterness of the past no longer defined him. Courage and accomplishment were now his identity. As he walked through the terminal, passengers offered him humble respect. Ayan moved forward slowly, head held high, filled with confidence. The storm had passed. The skies were clear. Peace had settled within him. There was no need for work, titles, or proving himself to anyone. He had found himself again, and that was his greatest victory.